Welcome everyone, Sean T. Fox here with Shentara Wellness. And today we're going to talk about Qigong. As an acupuncturist and a yoga instructor and Qigong teacher, I'm often asked to explain about what is Qigong, what does it do, and how can it help me? So I decided to put together this introductory video to explain a little bit more about some of these practices that have really changed my life for the better. Now, Qigong can be a big and sometimes mysterious topic, so I'm going to do my best to keep it fresh, informative, and fun. Today we're going to go through what is Qi and what is Qigong. We're going to go over some of the basic concepts of Qigong, talk about the bridge between Chinese medicine and Qigong, as well as explain some of the benefits. Qigong can be translated very simply as energy work, but it's actually much deeper than that. So to help to begin to get an understanding of what this practice is, it will really help to break down the two Chinese characters that make up this word. Qi. It's often seen as this mysterious, mystical kind of thing, which it is and it isn't. And many people claim that Qi can't actually be properly translated into English, which again is both true and not true. A really basic translation of Qi is energy, and this is actually a great definition. In classical Chinese philosophy, we have these fundamental forces of yin and yang, and they're constantly engaged in this dance together. And this dynamic creates these vibrating waves of energy called Qi. And in modern scientific understanding of quantum physics, we know that all matter is energy, and all energy is these vibrating waves of information. So in essence, everything is energy and everything is Qi. But this is not just the energy that makes up matter. This is also the organizing force that shapes manifestation. There are lots and lots of different kinds of Qi. For the purposes of Qigong and Chinese medicine, we're going to be speaking mostly about the Qi that's in and around the body. So this is our life force energy that animates us. This is the kinetic energy that moves our body through space. And this is also the functional energy of the body systems, what keeps our blood pumping, our cells nourished, our nerves signaling. Qi can also be used to describe the overall quality of energy of someone, something, or some place. So when we say that someone has really good energy, we can say they have good Qi. And when we feel kind of creeped out by a weird place, we can say that place has bad Qi. So the feelings and emotions that we experience in response to a person or a place are also forms of Qi. Gong is a word that's often translated as work, but it is deeper than that. So Gong means the cultivated skill that comes through dedicated effort and practice. It's the achievement and accomplishment that comes from this work. So we put this together, and Qigong means something like the cultivated skill of working with the energies of the body that come from dedicated effort and practice. And Qigong is actually a relatively modern term that's used to describe kind of the general category of a lot of different practices that all work somehow with the energy of the body. There are so many different types of Qigong, and they can actually all be drastically different depending on the purpose, the form, or the lineage. There are three main focuses, you could say, of Qigong, though they aren't necessarily separate. There's martial Qigong, which are the stances and the practices that form the basis of the martial arts or fighting skills. There is spiritual Qigong, which is really focused on spiritual development and attainment. And there is medical Qigong, which is really focused on cultivating a state of health and well-being in the body, and usually uses the principles of Chinese medicine. Now, these aren't necessarily separate, and there are not many forms of Qigong that don't have some element of each of these, but usually different forms will have more of a focus on each. Different Qigong practices can be very, very different from each other. There's Qigong that is sitting meditation, Qigong that's standing meditation, Qigong with soft, flowing movements, and Qigong that's very hard. We have dynamic Qigong and still Qigong. In fact, the Chinese government once set out to document as many forms of Qigong as they could find, and they found over 3,000 different forms of Qigong. And that's just what they found. A lot of Qigong lineages and masters are notoriously secretive, so there's undoubtedly more hiding out in monasteries and temples and caves somewhere in China. Now, what makes Qigong Qigong? Well, there's 3 fundamental parts to every Qigong practice, and that's the body, the breath, and the spirit. So let's break it down. Every Qigong practice involves doing something with your body. This might be sitting or standing, it might be still or moving, but relaxing and aligning and bringing awareness to the body is a fundamental part of every Qigong practice. The breath is super important in Qigong. Breathing is one of the main ways that we bring in Qi into the body. And the breath is also a bridge or a link between the energetic and the physical realms. So how we breathe has a huge impact on our physical, mental, and emotional state. The third part of Qigong is the spirit. Now, spirit is one of those words that can mean a lot of different things to different people, so let's define it a little more clearly for our purposes. This spirit, or Shen in Chinese, can be described as pure awareness or consciousness. And we're usually working with one aspect of the Shen called the Yi. The Yi is our intention or the focus of our mind. So we're using this intention and focus in our practice to align everything into one whole. So Qigong isn't about any one specific technique or movement, but it's actually a state of being. It's a union of our body, our breath, and our spirit. Qigong is an internal art, meaning that it's about bringing the awareness to what's happening on the inside. We use our Yi, our spirits, to guide our Qi, and the Qi moves the body. So if these 3 things, the body, the breath, and the spirit, are not aligned, then it might be a nice form of exercise, but it's not Qigong. Now, a lot of people ask, what's the difference between Tai Chi, and Qigong? Well, in essence, Tai Chi is a form of Qigong. But in the modern way, a lot of people that practice Tai Chi are not actually having that deeper internal connection to the energy. And so this is a really nice flowing dance or movement, but it's not necessarily Qigong. And you might also say that this practice of union sounds a lot like yoga. And you would be right. At their essence, Qigong and yoga are both about finding this place of oneness. But in the modern conception of yoga, which is really focused on a lot of the asanas or postures, a lot of times it's really just going through the movements without necessarily having the deeper energetic awareness or connections. And this would be a nice form of exercise, but not Qigong. In my practice of Shentara acupuncture, I work mainly with Taoist medical Qigong. Now, Taoism is a topic that we'll save for a whole nother video. But I can say that the roots of Taoist Qigong actually come from the ancient shamanistic traditions of Asia, where the shamans would use dances to channel spiritual forces and heal people. And these dances were often based on the movements of animals or other natural forces. So Chinese medicine comes from these ancient Taoist practices. In classical Chinese medicine theory, the human body is seen as a microcosm of the greater body of Earth. So our meridians are seen as rivers that are flowing to and from the seas of our vital organs. And it's by keeping a harmonious, balanced flow of qi through this inner ecosystem of our bodies that we maintain health and well-being. So medical Qigong practices are really focused on clearing and opening the channels of the body, of keeping a balanced flow of qi, and of cultivating our reservoirs of internal energy. Now, this might all sound a little bit woo-woo to some of you, But one thing I love doing is helping to explain energetic or spiritual phenomena in a more scientific way. So from a modern perspective, the meridians, the channels in our body, are actually the fascial planes. And what is fascia? It's the connective tissue that joins together all of the different aspects of our body into one functional whole. So it wraps around every bone, every muscle and muscle fiber, every organ like a cling wrap bag. It weaves into the bones. It's the tendons and ligaments and cartilage that holds everything together. It's this matrix that joins our body into a functional whole. It's also holding most of the 70% water that we're made of, if you've ever wondered why we're not a puddle. Fascia has some amazing properties. It's made mostly of collagen, which is a triple helix liquid crystal semiconductor protein. Whoa, what's that mean? So it's 3 strands woven together, and it's actually a crystalline structure. And this doesn't mean like, ooh, you're a crystal, but it's legitimately a crystal, which means that it transmits information, it conducts electricity, and it's also piezoelectric, meaning that when there's pressure put on it, it generates its own measurable electrical charge. So basically, we have this interconnected web that joins together all the different parts of our body and conducts and generates energy. It sounds a little bit like the mysterious meridians, no? As we experience different stresses, trauma, bad posture, and unprocessed emotions, this really often gets stuck in the fascia of our body. And sometimes we experience this as different knots, different places of tension, but this stagnation actually doesn't allow the systems of our body to work optimally. And this often leads to discomfort and disease. Qigong practices, as well as acupuncture, help to open up the channels. So there's this free flow of qi and energy moving through our system, and we can experience greater ease, well-being, and health. One of my Qigong teachers refers to this as when we do Qigong, we're wringing out the meridians like a wet towel and squeezing out the old fluid. And it's like we're squeezing the organs like a sponge. And as we allow this old stagnant qi and fluid to leave, then the fresh qi and blood can flow back in, nourish the cells, and allow for optimal functioning of the systems of the body. Qigong also puts a lot of emphasis into different energy centers of the body, especially what's known as the lower dantian. So this area below the navel in the lower belly is known as our reservoir of qi. It's like a storage battery of our energy. And as we cultivate this qi with the practices of Qigong, we usually aim to sink it down to rest in this place and fill up our battery. Now, the lower dantian is not necessarily a physical structure, but it is literally the center of gravity in our body. So cultivating a greater relationship with this space has far-reaching implications for our overall health and well-being, as well as the way we move in the world. Many Qigong practices use this connection to center and work with functional movements and movement patterns. We learn to use our body as one interconnected whole. We aim to find this place of minimal, uniform tension through the body, to stack our skeleton and relax ourselves so we're able to achieve more by doing less. We also work with opening and lubricating the joints, which are some of the places where qi can get stuck the most easily in the body. All of this teaches us and shows us how to move through life in a more relaxed, efficient, and embodied way. This can lead to some really beautiful benefits for the body and mind. Qigong has been shown to have an amazing array of positive effects for those who maintain a dedicated practice. Benefits can include deep relaxation, reduced stress, and a calm mind, more balanced emotions, greater strength and flexibility, boosted immune system, increased energy and mental focus, pain reduction, ease of movement, and faster injury recovery, improved digestion, increased sexual vitality, greater bone density, stronger joints, ligaments, and tendons, improved organ function, lowered blood pressure, better sleep, and a deeper spiritual connection. And these are just some of the benefits of a good Qigong practice. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this little talk today and that you have a little bit more of an idea of what Qigong is. So you can hit subscribe down below. There's going to be a lot more content coming and different classes. You can also connect on Facebook and Instagram. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments below, and I'd love to continue this dialogue. And until the next time, I look forward to seeing you again. Have a beautiful day, and good Qi to you.